Good morning, my loves, and welcome to our next weekly vlog. I am currently just over halfway through Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake, and I think I'm going to either do a bookstore run this afternoon to pick up my next read on my TBR, or maybe go rogue again and just find something completely different, because the last time I was at Barnes & Noble, which I showed in my last vlog, I picked up Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood, and I forgot how much I absolutely adored her writing. She is just so cute and clever. Like, within the first paragraph, I was like, I could just devour this entire book. And I also think it would pair nicely with the Atlas 6, so I'm becoming a broken record, but I do enjoy usually reading more than one book at once, and usually when I do that, I like to do something opposite of the genre I'm already reading. So the Atlas 6 is kind of a fantasy, dark academia novel, which I really love, but it's very much involved, especially because there's so many characters at play. So something a little lighter might pair really well with this, something kind of fun and easy to read. And I'm thinking either something like a romance, or maybe even picking up Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands, because I did originally have that on my February TBR as an option. So we shall see where the day takes us. Making my pour over right now, chilling with my husband before we head to the gym for a nice little sweat session, and then we will see where the day takes us. So I will check in with you guys as we go along. All right, bye. Have I finished the Atlas 6 yet? No. Did I go to Target yesterday and pick up another book to read at the same exact time? Yes. So I grabbed Check and Mate, which, by the way, I think I've said this before, but I'm going to reiterate it. Do not sleep on Target for books and the pricing that they have their books for, especially if you have the Target Red Card. They constantly have books for 20 to 30% off. Plus, you get an extra 5% off with your Target Red Card. It's basically like 35% off for a brand new book. They have hardcovers there that are $19 as opposed to $30. I also kept calling this Checkmate. It's Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. From here on forward, I will definitely get the name of the book right, but I am so excited to read this in tandem along with Atlas 6. I love Ali Hazelwood so much, and again, I think it's going to get me kind of extra excited to read Bride when that eventually shows from my subscription box. So that's going to be really fun. I'm just over, well, no, I'm not just over. I'm like 70% into Atlas 6 now. I think I got pulled into some extra coaching this morning, so I didn't get to read as much as I wanted to today. But hopefully after my last afternoon meeting, I'll be able to just sit down and get a good chunk of reading done before having to get started on dinner and such. So I will start this either tonight alongside Atlas 6. Might wait until tomorrow if I get a little bit further in the Atlas 6 today or not. We shall see about that. Either way, tonight or tomorrow, I will be starting Check and Mate. So this will be part of our vlog this week alongside the Atlas 6. Really excited to see what I think about it, because I've only read her adult romance novels, which I loved. I felt like they were like the perfect balance between just a good fiction book and romance. So there was definitely romance and spice, but it wasn't so much that it felt like way too smutty and overwhelming the whole time. It was just a really nice, cute rom-com kind of. And her characters are always very, very smart, which is kind of her thing, right? So she writes very smart female leads, women in STEM, or women who are just in general not your like naive damsel in distress. And I like that about her romance stories as well. So this is her first YA romance. I'll see how it stacks up compared to the adult ones. But other than that, I'm super excited to get it started, and then I will update you guys more on the Atlas 6 as I continue to read that. So this week should be really fun. I'm really excited, and I will check in with you guys in a bit. All right, bye. Hello friends, we are post dinner and I just wanted to do a quick check-in because as you just saw a clip, I finished the Atlas 6. I literally was like, I'm just gonna try to get my reaction to the end of this because I feel like I'm gonna have some sort of reaction, like a visceral reaction to this. I really liked it. I think I might go into more detail tomorrow because it's getting kind of late now, but overall, I just really loved it. I knew I was going to. I don't know why I waited so long to read it. I do think sometimes, okay, let me backtrack. To me, it is very dark academia. That's what it feels like to me. And sometimes I have to be in the mood for dark academia. I will go into like this deep rabbit hole of that genre from time to time. And I have to like come out and take a breath and kind of spend some time reading other things. So I haven't really touched a dark academia book since the fall, and I've been doing a lot of fantasy in between then. And yes, this is still fantasy, but this just felt different. And again, it's not even surrounding a college. They're not in college, but they are at this, well, they are in the Alexandrian Society. So we're talking the Library of Alexandria, the missing library. They are basically in this big English manor, surrounded by a library that doesn't seem to exist to the rest of the world, and they are constantly studying what they can do with their powers, what others can do with their powers, how they can work together. And it ended differently than I thought it was going to. I was a little taken aback by, yeah, I mean, I guess you could call it a twist. It was a little bit twisty. I definitely didn't see it ending the way it did. Bottom line, I absolutely loved this. I am gonna take a little bit of break. So for the rest of this vlog, we are gonna try to get as much into check and mate as we possibly can. I remembered that it is called check and mate, not checkmate, because I do like to break things up here and there. Again, I seem to get myself like in these very deep, dark rabbit holes of certain things, and I'm trying to be conscious of like not burning myself out on one genre of book. So I've been alternating a lot of different genres in between some heavier things lately, and it's been working really well. I think it's actually keeping my reading fresh and light. So that's been kind of nice. And that's what we're gonna do for this vlog. I have finished the first book of the Atlas 6 series, so the Atlas 6. I am going to start Check and Mate tonight. I'm going to be reading that throughout the week, and then this week I'm thinking we will most likely do another bookstore run because I'm sure I'm just going to want to get the second book in this Atlas 6 series. I just can't help myself. I'm going to get lost in the sauce on this one, I can tell you what. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was written so well, and again, that ending had me kind of like, okay. I've seen a couple of people too do some vlog goals, which I thought was kind of interesting. Some people will do like a page goal, which I thought would be really good for me because sometimes I need a goal to keep me on track and keep me moving. So something between 200 and 300 pages for this vlog might be what my goal is, whether that's just in one book or it's like split between two books. So yeah, I think we might do that. Big week ahead. I'm really excited, feeling good after that book finish, feeling ready to start another book, and then a little maybe gym, bookstore, coffee, puppy, all the usual things that you see in the Lori Beth household to come this week. So super excited to go on this journey with you guys. I will check in with you later. Bye. Hello, good morning, loves. Doing a quick check-in because last night wasn't really how I wanted to recap the Atlas 6 for everybody. As I was updating you in the last vlog, so the last vlog dropped today, so go back and watch that one where I started the Atlas 6. I will also link it in this video as well, so you can get more information on the Atlas 6 in general and my initial impressions of the book. As I previously stated, there was so much back and forth about this series and whether or not I was going to like it because of the opinions that were out there on Olive Blake's writing. And I will say that I can understand maybe why some people don't love the writing style in this book. There is multiple POV, which wasn't really hard to keep track of because it was per chapter. So you would go, each chapter was deliberately just one person. So that to me is not usually that hard to keep up with. There are quite a few characters because again, this is surrounding a group of 6 Medeans. So Medeans are academically trained witches, and you have 6 people already out of the gate that you are trying to keep track of, the relationships that they build with each other. Atlas himself, the guy that is kind of bringing this group of people into the Alexandrian society. Another character named Dalton, who has already been initiated into the society. He has decided to stay and work as part of the society. As you would imagine, through the course of a book, relationships start to build, betrayals happen, secrets are revealed. So there is quite a bit to keep track of. Also, she does seem to have this way of going into a rabbit hole with someone. So if you're reading a POV from one of the characters, they will be in a conversation with someone and suddenly they will have a thought and they will get very pulled into this thought and it seems to just spiral almost. So the character will then just be in this thought in their head, in their own inner monologue for a page to 2 pages, and then all of a sudden they'll be oh, sorry, what were you saying? They'll come back to the conversation they were having with someone. So I can see how that would be bothersome to some people. I actually don't mind it. I almost find that relatable because of the way my brain works. I have wheels spinning at all times where I can almost be having a conversation with myself in my head and also be listening to someone else. Which I know sounds counterintuitive, but I have perfected it over the years, if I do say so myself. I can definitely see how the writing style is a little bit different and almost hard to follow at times. However, I really liked it. I compared her to Leigh Bardugo in my last vlog, and I kind of stand by that, where the writing style is just very smart. I know it's the word that I just keep reusing, but that's the only way I can think to describe it. Her writing seems smart. The characters are smart. They're very cocky and almost you can start to see how hubris is the issue here. Is that what is going to be the great demise for each and every one of them, or only some of them? And I always find that very interesting because, again, I do consider myself a pretty confident person. But when you get to the level of hubris driving your actions and whether or not, what you think is right and you being the smartest person in the room stands true, how is that going to pan out for you? That type of thing. I don't know. I just find it very interesting, especially when you have characters on that level where there's multiple people that are kind of thinking that way. So long story long, I loved the first book. I was actually really pleased with how it ended because it was a little different than I thought it was going to be. I'm not going to say too much in case you haven't read it, but it has made me already, it has piqued my interest into going and grabbing the second book. So I am probably going to be doing that this week. I think I am going to read these in very quick succession to each other, which is also not something I do all the time because I love a book series. I love characters in a book. I love character-driven books. I get very emotionally invested in them. So I will tend to draw them out over time, but I don't really feel like that with this series. There's something about it that makes me want to go grab it and keep going with it. So next reading update. I did start Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. I started this yesterday and then again last night. This is so freaking adorable. I love it. already. I knew I was going to. I told you I kind of did a little preview when I was at Barnes and Noble, and it was like so funny. I mean, I'm already 83 pages in between yesterday and this morning. I was so tired last night. My eyes were just like constantly closing, but I was peeling them open so I could keep reading it because I just enjoyed it so much. It's a very nice light romance. So in this one, we follow our main character, Mallory, who is now the like sole caretaker of her family, of her mother, who has been diagnosed with a chronic illness, and her two sisters that are still in like middle school, high school age. She has just recently graduated high school herself. She has spent the summer working as a mechanic and picking up as many shifts as possible because it sounds like her father is not part of the picture anymore. He's kind of split. And now they have hospital bills that are piling up because her mom cannot work as much as she used to with her chronic illness. And she feels very responsible for taking care of her entire family. In the beginning of the book, she is pulled into doing this charity chess tournament with one of her best friends from childhood. They grew up playing chess together. And Mallory has not played chess in years. It sounds like she has kind of given that up, as it is a very prominent memory that she holds between her and her father. And now that he is not part of the family anymore, she has kind of stated, I am done with chess. I am never going there again. Because for her, chess was not just a hobby. It was like a talent. She is very good at it. She studied it. She was obsessed with it. And she has kind of just put it on the back burner as something that she doesn't really want in her life anymore. At this charity chess tournament that her friend has to like twist her arm into doing with her, she ends up getting paired, and this is all just like, you know, a charity tournament, so the pairings are kind of at random to begin. She ends up getting paired with like the top male chess player in the world. He's, of course, very cocky, very standoffish. He goes into each match and just kind of puts his head down and gets his thing done. And she immediately was like, oh my God, what is happening here? How did I get paired up with this guy? It's very nerve-wracking. She's sweating, and slowly she kind of just starts to feel the things come back to her. She sees like the plays he's making, and she's like, oh, I know how to respond to that. And it kind of just starts to happen, right? And she ends up winning the match. And all of a sudden she looks up and everybody in the room is looking at her and him, and they're like, what the hell just happened? This girl just beat this like top player in the world, and like seemingly effortlessly. She panics. She's like, oh my God, too much attention. Abort mission. I gotta get out of here. So she flees and decides like she doesn't want to like go down that road again. This girl who put on the tournament and runs this very prominent chess club in Brooklyn takes notice of her and is like, hey, we actually have this fellowship where we choose a like very prominent player every year to be part of this fellowship, where they get to take this salary base for the entire year and take their time to study and practice and enter local tournaments and try to become not just a hobbyist, but like a pro chess player. Are you interested? She's like, absolutely not. I can't do this. I said I wasn't going to do this. I'm not going down this road again. Chess is not part of my life anymore. Then she ends up losing her job at the mechanic shop, and everything changes. Again, she feels very responsible for her family's well-being, and now she feels like she's kind of backed into a corner because the bills keep coming in, but the money is not following. So she ends up taking the fellowship, and now that's basically where I'm at. So she's just started at this new chess club. It's more intense than she realized it was going to be. Like, here's your schedule. It's like a full day of like researching and training and playing and meeting and practicing. So she has spent like her first 2 weeks there as part of the fellowship, and she is just going into her first local tournament. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. I really, really like it so far. It's definitely different than the previous books I've read by her. Her other female characters, I have read The Love Hypothesis and Love on the Brain. And both of those female characters were they were definitely very confident because they're very smart women, but they were just a little different, a little more soft-spoken and kind of quirky and like kind of cute, like the weird nerdy girl that you can't help but love. And Mallory in this book is a little bit different. She seems very cool. She's very confident. She is bisexual and she just knows that. And it is kind of a nice, like, narrative to see like a confident character in that sense, where again, it doesn't always have to be like questioning my identity comes into play as the character. Like, she's just this way as a character. And she is very smart, of course. Like, the banter in these books is so funny. Like, the conversations she's having with her two younger sisters are just cracking me up. Like, she is always the bad guy between like all of like the three sisters. The main character does seem slightly different than the ones I've read in the past from Ali Hazelwood. And I don't know, I just kind of like her as a main character, like a really good age as well, because this is technically Ali Hazelwood's young adult novel, but our main character is 18, and it seems like this love interest that she's going to probably start a relationship with is like 20 or around there. So I kind of like that age frame too. Sometimes I think it can be, just for myself, and this is just subjective, a little uncomfortable to read about like young love. But it is also nice to just read about like kind of young adult love, and watching them navigate this new world of being like adults in the working force, or having to make money and pay bills and also deal with relationships and other friends going off and living their own lives. And the chess aspect of this is really cool. So I think it's different and unique, and there's terms in here that I've already had to look up because I want to know what I'm reading. But this is just a good time already. Like, it's just, her books are a good time and clearly easy to read and almost unputdownable. I mean, you're flying through 30 pages of this book like it's nothing. So yeah, so far so good. Really, really love it. Loved how the Atlas 6 ended. Can't wait to keep reading Check and Mate. I really like it so far. I think it's going to be like a good, so it says right on the cover, it's not enemies to lovers, it's rivals to lovers. I love the intensity that comes with that trope, and it's just so cute. Like, I mean, look at the cover, the colors, the chess aspect again, I think is really cool. I'm very intrigued to see where that goes, and I can't wait to kind of get back to reading this. Like, I'm already like, when is my workday gonna end so I can keep reading more? So anyways, that's our check-in for now. I'll check in either with you guys later today or tomorrow. Again, at some point this week, we're gonna have to do some book shopping so I can get, I think, the second book in the Atlas 6 series, and maybe even something else. I have something kind of on my TBR left for February. Again, did I go rogue for the February TBR? Slightly. Is this going to be the last time I'm going to do that? Absolutely not. So buckle up. Anyways, I will check in with you guys as soon as I have another update. Bye! Oh, well, hello, friends. Wanted to do a quick reading check-in with you guys. It is Thursday afternoon. I've been pretty busy since this morning between my regular job and then also filming and editing for this week's Talking Head video, which I'm really excited for. I love the format of this. My husband helped me. Well, technically he came up with the idea and I was like, that's brilliant. I'm doing that. And I'm really excited for this one to come out. My computer is, of course, giving me tons of issues because such is life. And now I have the spinning wheel of death on it. And I'm waiting to see what happens there. So I was like, you know what? Let's take a little break from that, do a reading check-in for Check and Mate. I just love this book so much. Okay, so I was a little concerned about stepping into Ali Hazelwood's first YA romance because I've read two of her adult romances and I really liked them. I thought that they were perfectly balanced between like a storyline and good characters and kind of like that spice and romance side of things also. So I was like, I don't know, what if this is just like not enough of those things because it's YA? Not the case. whatsoever. So we are following Mallory still. She is now becoming a little more invested in this whole chess thing again. A little more is coming out about her past and maybe why she has decided to remove chess as part of her life. So we know that her father is no longer in the picture. It sounds like her father has passed away, but something happens at one of her tournaments where like one of the mediators, I can't remember what they're called, but basically someone that's on the floor with everybody when they're playing chess. If one of the players has an issue and they like raise their hand to call someone over, this person comes up and tries to help them resolve the issue at hand. And it was a woman who Mallory recognized, and she like immediately went cold and clammy, kind of panicked and shut down. And it was really clear that this woman had something to do with her past. Like she was having these flashbacks of like something that happened. Then she ends up spending a little bit of time like one-on-one with our main male character, Nolan, and they end up playing like, so she beats him, right? And she thinks it was a total fluke. He thinks she is like another chess prodigy and he is like begging her to play against him again. And she's like, no, this is work for me. I don't take this stuff personally anymore. I will not spend time doing this with you. He even went so far as to like go to her house and like try to talk her into it. And it was such a cute scene because she comes from this family or like this family of women, right? So she's the oldest of three sisters and her mother. So it's just like this really cute, funny environment where she's like totally mortified and embarrassed by it. He stops by the house and she's like, oh my God, I can't believe he's at my house. He ends up like staying for dinner because of course her mom invites him to stay. So he's like roped into having meatloaf with this family of women and sitting in her house and watching TV with her younger sisters afterwards. And they're just like chatting his ear off. And it's just it was so adorable and funny. And her sisters are like so embarrassing, but in such a good way. Like they say things that come to their mind. Like, so are you guys like having sex? Are you sleeping together? And she's just like totally mortified the whole time. It's like this very, tall, dark, fit man that is kind of passive and doesn't like say a whole lot, but he just takes it all in stride, and like anytime they ask him something he just answers it with zero embarrassment whatsoever. So anyways, now I'm like kind of looping back, but he wants her to play with him very badly and she's like, no, I refuse. So they end up going to this other tournament together. She has this run-in with this woman that makes her like clam up and she totally freaks out, and they end up back in like their shared space at night together, and he like kind of like tricks her into playing like tic-tac-toe with him, and he was like, we're gonna play this game and every time I win a match of tic-tac-toe then you have to answer questions and vice versa. So he's trying to like get a little bit more out of her and like learn her a little bit, and finally starts asking her, what's the deal, like why won't you make chess part of your life? I know you love it and you feel the same way I do about it. She's like, long story short, I was estranged from my father for a few years before he passed away, and that's all I'm going to tell you. So clearly something happened more with her father that like was a detriment to her relationship with him and also the game of chess. And now she is kind of back in this spot where, yes, she's decided to take this fellowship and do this for work, but she's slowly getting sucked back in, where she's in her free time finding herself like going through things in her head and looking things up and like making plans for the next tournament or the next thing that she has to do. So she's like, oh God, like it's happening. I'm getting sucked back in. So I don't know. I just really like it. The storyline is really interesting. The whole chess thing in general is really cool. Because I'm learning a lot about something that I don't know about, and they get through this whole tournament together where they've kind of like had like these moments of intimacy. Nothing has happened, but this is kind of like that slow burn YA romance that I've talked about before that I really enjoy, where it kind of really slowly starts to build over time. So they get back and they go about their regular business, and an article has come out about them and how they are dating, but she's like, oh my God, we're not dating. Someone had just like taken a photo of them at this tournament, and she's freaking out. She goes to his apartment and she's like, we have to figure out how to like resolve this issue. And he is like on death's door because he's got the flu. And so she stays over at his apartment to take care of him. And they end up like snuggling on the couch together. And yeah, she's like, oh no, something's happening here. Something is happening. He has also stated to her that he is a virgin, and she is kind of the opposite, where she's like very open and very fluid about her sexuality and like hooking up with people, and she likes to keep things like low key and like no strings attached type of person. And he is the opposite, where he's just like never been interested in any of that because it's kind of just like taken up too much like space in his brain when he's got other things going on. She enjoys like dating people, not like anything serious, and he's never done that whatsoever. And you can kind of slowly see that they are starting to feel a spark between them, like more than either one of them really realizes. And I love it. I love that so much. I eat it up. I put it on a plate. I cut it with a fork and knife, and I shove it into my face because it is so good. Yeah, she's falling, and he is clearly falling too. And I really like that. So I'm at page 195 right now. Just over halfway through. This book is like unputdownable. I knew it was going to be a good time, but I am truly sucked into this story. So I'm really excited to see where this goes. I will probably sit down this afternoon and read a little bit if I have time after some of my computer editing issues, because I might just honestly have to walk away from this. I will check in with you guys whenever I have another reading update, whether I finish this or if I start something else in tandem with it. But yeah, this is a very long babbly check-in. It was really good to take my eyes off of the computer screen for a few minutes, so thank you for allowing me to do so. I will check in with you guys whenever I can. All right, bye. Family walk. So nice out today. Well, hello and good morning, friends. We are doing a Saturday morning check-in, having our pour-over coffee per usual, and I wanted to give you an update on where I'm at with Check-in Mate. I finished it this morning, and this was a 5-star read. Like, without a doubt, I immediately jumped on Goodreads and Storygraph, because I actually use Storygraph a lot these days, and I immediately just rated it 5 stars. Let me just say this. Ali Hazelwood has truly blessed us bookish girlies with probably some of the best romances I have ever read. Every single one of her romance books has just landed with me. And I was a little nervous about this being a YA romance, but it did not disappoint at all. It did not even feel YA, besides the fact that the characters were like 18 and 20, like young adult. There you go. That is young adult to me. So it was basically just reading like a normal romance. The spice was not very intense, which some people like that in a romance. So if that is you, if you like a romance with like just a little dabble of spice, this is a perfect book for you to read. It was so, I don't know. These are like, Mallory might be one of my favorite female characters out of her books. So like I said in the initial thoughts about this book, Mallory is different because she's very much, she's a little like hardened. She's rough around the edges. She's still super smart. Like you can tell she is just a really smart woman, but she is not like that quirky, naive type of female character. She was very sure of herself and her identity, and she was almost like kind of like that hard candy shell type person where you know there's probably something on the inside, but she definitely has like an exterior to her. But let's talk about like what happened in the book since we've last spoken. So I'm pretty sure the last time I checked in with you guys was when she had just been at his apartment because he had gotten the flu or something like that. So she was taking care of him because that's what Mallory in this book does. She is a caretaker. She puts everyone else ahead of herself because that's just her MO now. So she feels very comfortable being that person that's like, no, I got this. I'll take care of everything. Everybody can rely on me. I will like shoulder all of the burden. After that, Nolan approaches her about becoming his second to train for the world championship. And in the world of chess, a second is basically like a training partner. So someone who will spend all of their waking hours with you going over different methods and different history of players' styles and running through old games with you and basically learning anything about you and your weaknesses so that they can help you try to fix those weaknesses before you go to like some huge tournament. There are a few turns of event that happen in the book, and I'm not going to say them because I feel like they're like complete spoilers. I know that I've said vlogs will not always be spoiler free, but I am going to just leave some of what happens in the book out for those of you that do want to read this, because I think what I've set up until this point is not really anything too spoilery. So some stuff comes out, like some secrets come out, or not even secrets, things that were maybe not just clearly spoken, and there's some betrayal felt by some of the characters. But as the book moves forward through that, something happened. I already loved Mallory as a character. I think she's great, but you can see some of the things that are her flaws, right? So this constant need to take care of everybody, and she keeps people at arm's length, and she loves to date and kind of like hook up with people because it's very surface level. Like she never has to worry about getting too involved with anybody. And you see her start to really deal with her past and with her like present in the thoughts and feelings that she has. So dealing with her emotions around things. She ends up reconnecting with her best friend from high school, and she quickly reminds Mallory of some of her flaws as a person, and not in a bad way. She's just like, Mal, you are this type of person that like does these things, and maybe that's not the best way to live if you want a certain life. It was very brilliantly written, watching Mallory come to this realization of maybe some of the things that she does to keep up a guard in her life and how that has affected her current relationships and what she can do to become a better person. I don't know. It was just so organic and so beautifully written of her being like, oh, snap. Like, I've got some things that I could probably work on, and I'm pushing people away, and I need to like kind of let my guard down a little bit and let life happen to me a little bit. But then Nolan also, as our, male character, he's very brilliant and matter of fact, and it makes him so endearing because he doesn't just think like with his brain, he also seems to use his emotions as well. Like he is not opposed to just feeling and doing. And that is kind of the opposite of Mallory, where she's very much like, no, like things start to happen and she's like, whoa, pump the brakes, not happening. And Nolan is like, no, this is just happening. Like, this is just how I feel. He's just so like, there's no like gray area with him, like no in between the lines. He just is. And it's very like refreshing to see in a character. And as the book goes on and they start to kind of realize some of these things about themselves and each other, you watch them really just start to communicate. And again, it's just a refreshing thing in a book. Like they end up just like talking to each other and saying what they think and what they feel. And you're like, hallelujah. This is how it works, people. This is what you do. And some of us don't learn how to do until we are well into our adult lives. And you're watching these young characters learn these life lessons and handle them so well after some ups and downs, but really coming through and handling them. The way the book ends also, I just thought was really, really nice. Like I could tear up about it now. I'm not gonna lie. I was sitting by myself on the couch this morning with a cup of coffee reading this, and I was like, I'm crying. I'm crying right now. This is the most beautiful and like perfectly ended book I have read in a very long time. It was so satisfying. It gave me exactly what I needed. It was just perfect. I'm not even trying to be super dramatic, but this was a near perfect book. I cannot recommend this highly enough. Again, if you love any sort of romance, or if you're not sure romance is for you even, and you're like wanting to dabble into some contemporary romance, but you're like, I don't want to read like that super smutty stuff. I'm not there quite yet. This is everything. It's absolutely perfect. Perfectly paced. The characters are amazing. The banter is so funny. I laughed out loud throughout this entire book. Ali Hazelwood is so smart, and she has this way of bringing such a good balance to her characters. So she covers so many topics, and I'm so happy to see it in a like young adult novel too. So the identity of our characters, like their sexual identity, being very confident in their identities, covering topics like sexism in the world of sports and specifically chess in this matter. And that's what this whole book is based on. Mallory comes forward as like this phenomenal female player where she almost kind of like feels like she's stumbled into it at this point in her life, but she uses it as a way to be like, yeah, I'm really lucky to have gotten here, to have gotten to this point where I am now like competing against the best men in the world, but I'm not the best female player. There have been years and years of female players that have dealt with so much sexism that they've never had the opportunity to get where I'm at. And I'm going to voice for all of them that we are coming forward and we are just as equal as any player in this world. And that was part of the satisfying ending too. It kind of like came full circle on so many aspects that were covered in the book. So not just the characters and the relationships they built with each other, but these super important topics that were covered as well, like the sexism in the world of sports, especially against women and non-binary people. And it was just flawless. Ali Hazelwood, I could make an entire Stan account just on you and your books. That's about where I'm at in life. I'm just so happy that I decided to read this. I'm not gonna lie. And now I'm even more excited for Bride to come whenever that comes in my subscription box, because if she can do this with a contemporary romance, what is this woman going to be able to do with like a paranormal romance? I am shaking in my boots with excitement over that one. So very long check-in just to say that, yeah, that was a 5-star read for me. I loved it. Can't recommend it enough. Please do not walk, run to get that book if you love romance of any sort. And here we are. So, plan for today. I think we are going to do either a bookstore run or another Target run and grab something else to read. February is not a very long month, although it is a leap year, so we have one extra day this year. I think we might do a run to find a book somewhere of some sort today, and I'm trying to decide what that's going to be. Part of me wants to grab the Atlas Paradox because I am dying to just continue on with that series, or I might finally grab Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands. We will see. One of those or the other. But anyways, this has been a productive vlog so far. So I know it kind of picked up with me finishing the first Atlas 6 book. But we got through this entire book together, which was well over 300 pages. So the goal of reading 300 pages in a vlog, boom, check it off the list, done. But I think we're going to end this vlog on me grabbing another book and starting that. So unfortunately, these vlogs might be like kind of a rotating door of me starting one thing, finishing another thing, and so on and so forth. But we shall see. Either way, I am so glad that you guys have been joining me on this journey. I love doing these weekly vlogs. I can just talk and talk and talk about the books that I'm currently reading, because as soon as I put them down, I seem to just forget everything that has occurred in said books. So anyways, cheers to that. We're going to have some breakfast, get ready for the gym, and then do some book shopping later today. I will check in with you guys later. Post-gym sustenance. Make sure do your protein, people. And veggies. All right, just doing a quick card check-in. I'm going to keep it short because, as you have seen by now, I can just talk and talk and talk when I do these check-ins. We are doing a mother-son day, so we've been out running errands and going to the pet store, and I did run into Target, which you guys saw, so I will become very annoying talking about shopping for books at Target. I will always 100% suggest doing that, if at all possible, especially if you have the Target Red Card. You will always get books for like 20% off the normal price. But they also have a pretty decent manga section, and I gave you guys a little peek at what my store had. I was so bummed because they didn't have the Spy Family first volume. I've heard really good things about that as a series, and I wanted to start that as well. I just have so many things I want to try, right? But I'm really thinking manga is going to be something I'd like to incorporate this year on top of all the other ideas that I have. But again, because I like to kind of rotate through things, whether it's like heavy or longer books versus shorter books, and I think manga will be something different and like refreshing for my brain to read from time to time, and I've heard really good things about Spy Family. If you guys have any suggestions for some manga that I would probably enjoy, I would love any suggestions that you have. So I didn't get Emily Wilde's. I did get the second Atlas 6 book, so the Atlas Paradox. I might start that this afternoon once we get home. It's getting bored. I'm gonna run into the store really quick and then get this guy home because he also got a little treat while we were out, so I think he is probably dying to get that as well. Other than that, yeah, just wanted to check in and let you know what I grabbed. Feeling like light and airy and so satisfied after Check and Mate. Oh my god, I will not. I'm bringing it to a friend tomorrow because I could not stop talking about it. She's like, all right, just bring me the book. I'll read it. You've convinced me. Anyways, just wanted to do a very quick check-in. Gonna finish these errands, get home, and then hopefully read this afternoon. So I will check in with you guys later. Oh my goodness, that Bobby. Oh, it's a big stretch. He's squeaky clean. I know, Bobby, we're almost done.
Your forehead kisses to the Simon team because you guys are awesome. But I don't know when I have got written in the stars right here by Alexandria Belfort, and I am thinking that it could be it for today, but I won't.
Good morning, my friends. Happy Monday. We made it through the entire weekend, and here we are back at the old work desk, about to log into the regular 9 to 5 and get some work done. But I wanted to do a quick update because I was able to sit down and read quite a bit yesterday after we got all of our errands done. It was a nice relaxing Sunday, which was really fun for me to just sit during the day and read a lot because I don't often get the chance to do that. And it was very beneficial because it did help me get a little bit further into the Atlas Paradox. So I am currently at page 186 after sitting down and reading again this morning. So I was able to chip away basically more than 100 pages, and it has gotten better for me. So I had a feeling that it was going to be, I could almost feel that it was a slow start, that I needed to let myself sink back into the story. And I don't know that it's necessarily that much different than the first one, or if it was just coming off of that high of reading Check and Mate, where the writing was, you know, it's a YA book. Anyways, I am enjoying it more and more as I go on. So I think, because I've, for this vlog, read now well over 400 pages, we are going to end this vlog here. So quick update on where I'm at in the Atlas paradox and my thoughts on it. So my original thoughts about this book kind of delving more into each character was pretty spot on, and I am enjoying that. But what else I'm seeing now is the characters are starting to almost pair off. So now that they've all been initiated into the society, they are asked to pick an independent study to work on for the rest of the year, which is really kind of interesting because, again, these are very, very brilliant people, and you're kind of wanting to see what they're going to spend their time on while they're here in their first year at the society. But with that being said, we started the book with one of our main characters, Libby, having gone missing, and nobody knows where she's at. So as they are still trying to work within this society and work on their independent study, they are also trying to find Libby as well, collectively, but also they have kind of broken into smaller groups where now they are using each other's powers to kind of try to find a solution to find where Libby is. The book is still multiple POV, so you are switching between each person that is in the society, and then also you are getting Libby's point of view as well, which I love. I have actually devoured every point of view from Libby and struggled the most with some of the other characters in the beginning. But now that I'm kind of sucked back into it, I'm absorbing the information a little bit more quickly, and it's all kind of starting to sink in. It does read slower though, and I don't know why that is. So it's only a 400-page book, but I think the word count is larger than I kind of realized. So again, it's a very interesting dynamic because you have this group of people that are very smart, the best of the best at what they do, and they're pretty egotistical because of that. And now some of them are working together to try, for this greater cause, basically, to try to better the society and the library, and also find this missing person as well. It is going a little bit more into the society itself, which is kind of interesting. So because this is such an elite society where only every 10 years a literal fraction of people in the world are chosen to be part of this, it is very elitist. And there's other groups and other Medians throughout the world that believe that this is way too elitist, and the knowledge of this Alexandrian library that was supposed to have been missing should be spread more evenly throughout the world and not just reserved for the elite of the elite. So we have even a group of people that are kind of working towards maybe dismantling the society and making this more readily available to Medians throughout the entire world. We have this group of students that is kind of trying to work together to find one of their own that is missing, even if they don't even necessarily like each other or like the person that has gone missing. So our main characters are starting to dive a little bit more into the society themselves and the library, which I find very interesting. So the library itself will, a candidate can go and basically think or tell the library what it is that they want. The library will return books on whatever they want to study. However, sometimes the library will deny them access to certain things, and there's no rhyme or reason. Nobody knows how this library works. Is it a sentient thing? So does it have feelings? Does it have thoughts? What does it know about them? How does it prevent them from gaining access to these certain things? And why some people over others do they have denied access? So it is very interesting. There is a lot of elements kind of going on in tandem, but because I'm about halfway through now, I feel like some of them are starting to meld together, which I think is what's making it a little easier to read. I do still really like it. I'm really hoping to wrap this up before the end of February. This feels significantly heavier than the first book, and I think it's because, as we know in a series, the first book is so introductory, even if it's a very well-written story and the characters are well plotted out. We've already been there. We've done all that. We know the characters, and now we are getting substantial information about them. What makes them tick? Why are they the way they are? Why are they all basically just a bunch of assholes and they don't need human connection and other people in the world? As far as the writing style, I can see how, and I mentioned this about the first book, her writing does get a little bit, it's almost chaotic. And I think that's what makes it hard to follow sometimes. So like a character will be talking and all of a sudden they'll have a thought and they will just go into this thought for like 3 pages. And then they'll be like, oh yeah, sorry, what were you saying? Because they'll remember that they were talking to someone in person. It does seem sometimes like the writing will kind of just like segue into like a very, very deep thought of someone, and then you're like on a different track for a few pages, and then all of a sudden you come back to the original conversation that was happening. So that can be a little bit dismantled and hard to follow at times, but it's almost like you get used to it. I'm interested to see where this book goes, and then obviously we know that there's the 3rd book out now, so I will be curious to see if I feel the urge to jump onto that one as quickly as I did with book 2. So with that being said, I think we're going to end the vlog here. We've got about a week's worth of footage. We did lots of fun stuff together. I love taking you guys with me everywhere. So a couple of Target runs. We read one whole book together, started another one. I would say this was a very successful vlog. So it's Monday now. I think we are going to reset, start the next weekly vlog, finishing this book hopefully, and probably doing some shopping or deciding what to read on the next book, whether that lands in February or if that is more towards my March TBR, because holy shit, what happened to February? It was like 3 seconds long. I don't know what it is about this month of the year. It just flies by every time. But I want to thank you guys so much for joining me on another weekly vlog. I love doing these so much. I will just continue to do them because, like I said, I read every week. I'm always reading a book, and I'm just going to take you guys along with me for the ride. So this week will be fun. It'll be nice and busy. Lots of coaching to do this week. But we'll do more reading, more book shopping, lots of gym, lots of coffee. You know the drill by now. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me on this weekly vlog. It has been so much fun per usual. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button below because it always helps a girl out. And if you want to make sure you don't miss any other weekly vlogs, go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well. As always, it has been an absolute blast, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next one.